Melissa Hortman, the Speaker of the Minnesota Legislature, was shot, there was a commemorative resolution in the Congress, and every Republican voted for it.
Right.
When Charlie Kirk was assassinated for his political beliefs, there were 58 Democrats who would not vote for a resolution to honor him. So
and I was one of them.
Why do you think it was?
I don't mind honoring anybody's life. I've got a problem with their legacy. And I know what the legacy of Kirk was. When I turn on my TV and I see someone telling me what an awful person Martin Luther King Jr. was, when I see somebody telling me if I get on an airplane and there's a black pilot, I begin to wonder, is he qualified? What does that mean? Those are the words that came out of his mouth.
That's not what he said. And
that is exactly what he said. I got the exact quote.
It's not in context at all what he was talking about. It was a conversation about affirmative action. You know that, Congressman. This has been well litigated and well debated.
Everything about black people is about affirmative action. And so what's wrong with affirmative action?
No.
Look, you're telling me that when I came out of college and couldn't get a job, that was because I was not qualified?
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, what are you saying?
What I'm saying is Charlie Kirk was very clear. If these companies openly say that they have to somehow fill a quota of people, whether it be a race or gender, not based on merit, but based on their race or gender, the obvious should be clear to everyone, which is that person then qualified?
So
that's an obvious question. Because of the bar that the corporation itself set up by saying publicly, we're going to do this type of DEI hiring, then you have to wonder, is it because of their race or their gender?
Can I just that's not what it is. Hold on a second.
Hogan, why would you
have to wonder?
Yeah, I mean, why would you have to wonder that? The only reason you would wonder that is if you're inclined to believe that nobody can be qualified if they are black and brown going into those roles. But here's one other thing that I think is just a factual dispute with what you're describing. You're suggesting that the standards are lower for people of color filling these roles when there is absolutely
the exact opposite.
No evidence.
The exact opposite.
No, but that's what you said.
No, it isn't.
Hold on, Hogan. You said that they are only getting these jobs because of their race or gender.
That's not what I said.
And not because they are qualified. So are they qualified or not?
That's not what I said.
Are they qualified or not?
What I said was
is a pilot sitting in a hold on, Hogan, is a pilot sitting on an airplane, flying a plane, whether he's black or white or a woman or gay or lesbian, if they are sitting in that seat and they meet the FAA requirements for being in that seat, are they qualified?
If they are qualified, I sure hope so.
But you don't believe that they're qualified
because of what?
That's not what I said.
What I said was if the criteria was their race or gender, then how am I to know
that's
what the
why I'm telling
qualification
you, Hogan,
is there?
That
we
is
had
a
a president of the United States.
Error that you are making.
President of the United States,
Hogan, I don't want you to
came out and said
Hogan, you're changing.
he wanted
listen, I don't want you to change the subject because you are making
to be the vice president. So when I noticed that that's what he said, that's not my fault. Joe Biden said it.
You were in the White House when Donald Trump said he was going to put a woman on the Supreme Court, and then he picked Amy Coney Barrett. Is she not qualified?
She is extremely qualified.
Okay, so why is she qualified, but Ketanji Brown Jackson is not?
He talked about the qualification as well. What I'm saying is, in that...
Abby just busted him in the mouth. Before we go any further, let me let you know, the Tim Black Wolfpack is dedicated, committed, 10 toes down to reporting the truth, unbiased, and not working for any political party. If that sounds good to you, go to jointimblack.com, become a member of the Tim Black Wolfpack. She just busted him in the mouth. It is what it is. That's dead to rights. A moment of silence for him getting busted up. There was no way to wiggle out of that. Trump said he was going to get a white woman, a woman, and he went and did that, and you didn't complain.
And then he picked Amy Coney Barrett. Is she not qualified?
She is extremely qualified.
Okay, so why is she qualified, but Ketanji Brown Jackson is not?
He talked about the qualification as well. What I'm saying is, in that clear directive from Joe Biden, in the clear directive from those companies, they are saying we are filling a quota.
Let me ask.
They're not even saying filling a quota.
I'm going to ask you again because I think you have another opportunity to really think this through. Donald Trump said, I am going to pick a woman to go on the Supreme Court. Oh, you know
said
what?
it was one of
Let
his
me give you another one.
So should he not have done that?
George H.W. Bush said,
Well,
"I
take it back
am
to
going
Ronald
to
Reagan.
pick
That's
a
just the
black.
South.
I'm going to pick a black man to fill a role on the Supreme Court." Are those people unqualified?
I want always the most qualified people to
Are
hold
they
those
qualified
jobs.
or not?
It depends on
It
their
wasn't a
qualification.
quota or not.
It's always a
Because-
quota when you base it on
because
race or
Ketanji
gender.
Brown
If you base
Jackson-
it on qualification,
Hogan,
if the person is
Hogan,
hired as black
I
or a
really-
woman or whatever, it
listen,
doesn't
hold on.
matter.
So
That's
let
the
me just
point.
ask you a direct question.
It's the ultimate
Is it okay for
meritocracy.
Donald Trump to have DEI quotas or not?
It's not okay for anyone to have DEI
So then
quotas.
why did he have a DEI quota, by your definition, for Amy Coney Barrett?
He didn't. He said that was one of the selections. People said he should fill it with a woman.
Okay. He said he was going to fill it with a woman, and he did.
He did not only interview
Okay.
women for the job.
Correct.
Okay.
So
I'm sure
Joe Biden didn't
Biden
only interview
Biden
men for
was running
black
for the
women for the job.
Joe Biden had said as he went in his search process, his short list would be all women of color.
and they were.
Listen,
And they were
No,
qualified.
that's not true.
They were
Listen,
qualified.
We're taking issue
Brad,
with the
you're talking about
criteria.
the guys
not-
brought in
Brad,
the
I just think
campaign.
it's you guys are misleading. I'm not gonna say you're lying. I'm just gonna say you're misleading about what Donald Trump said. The day after, Justice Ginsburg died, he said he was going to pick a woman to replace her. He said that. Okay, I'm not paraphrasing. That is
Well,
what he
by
said.
that standard,
So,
he should not have issued that as
okay.
a criteria.
All right.
All right, one more thing. Justice Thomas, who I'm sure you love. You love him, right?
Sure.
He was chosen to replace a black Supreme Court justice in part because he was a black man. Who is more qualified in terms of actual experience to be on the court, him or Ketanji Brown Jackson? Do you know?
I don't know if any of them.
Okay. Well, I've checked. She served as a federal judge for way longer. He actually didn't before she was put on the Supreme
No,
Court.
false. He was
So-
on the D.C. Court of Appeals,
Okay.
the second highest
Well,
court in
she
the
served.
land.
was.
She
He
served.
was
Yes.
recommended by the
yes.
Bar Association.
He, yes.
You cannot besmirch
He
Clarence
was
Thomas
on there
more than
for.
20
He was
minutes.
on there for a very brief period of
The
time.
second
She
highest
was
court
served
in the
as a
land.
judge.
We
for-
have never considered any nominee
Hold
for
on.
Supreme Court who was on the D.C. Court of
I am
Appeals
not-
to be
hold
unqualified
on.
for the Supreme Court.
I am not
never.
suggesting-
Never, ever has that been
I
said.
am not
You're
suggesting-
saying Clarence Thomas was not qualified?
I'm not actually. No, not. I am not.
You just
I am
said
not
he was
suggesting
not
that he's
qualified.
unqualified at all.
You did.
I am saying that he is qualified.
She was saying that Ketanji Brown Jackson was more qualified than Clarence Thomas was as far as credentials. That's what she said. She didn't say he was unqualified. She was comparing the qualifications of the two.
Just the way that Ketanji Brown Jackson is qualified, just the way that Amy Coney
No,
Barrett
you
is
said he
qualified.
was less qualified
No,
than Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I'm asking
No,
you.
that's what you
I'm
said.
saying about comparing their resumes. If you want to compare
You
their
said he
resumes,
was less
one of the
qualified
things
than
that
her.
Charlie Kirk said was that Ketanji Brown Jackson, if she says that she was affirmative action pick, then what she is saying is that she didn't have the brain processing power to get that job without replacing a white man.
Look,
But I'm asking you, if you objectively look at her resume, is that a factual statement?
oh, she's qualified for the Supreme
Okay,
Court.
so then
of
let's leave
course.
it at that. Because I just
She's
think
not
that.
very good at her job, but she's qualified.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Because we want to make a lot of broad statements
But
about
according
who's
to Kirk,
qualified
she
and
was a
who's not.
diversity hire.
Say that again?
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That Ketanji, was a diversity hire.
I want to go back. This all started when we were talking about
I got 12
whether
of
or
his
not,
quotes right here.
whether or not Democrats should have voted to honor Charlie Kirk's life. And Congressman, I respect you. You are a living legend. I deeply respect your motives. However, I think that this is a question of whether we honor people who gave their life to public service. I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything.
Okay.
But he gave his life to public service.
I'll let you have
Let
the
me
last
have-
word on this. Go ahead.
But let me just say this. His life is one thing, his legacy is another. Now, I honor everybody's life. But when you tell me that that was a diversity hire, when you tell me you're going to give thought to whether or not a black pilot is qualified, something else is going on in your head, and that's a legacy that I will never vote to honor. So if they're taking legacy off, which we asked them to do, and just honor his life, you got my vote. But his legacy, I know what my fathers inherited from the legacy of the South.
Yeah. And, as You know, and like I said, man, look, guys, Clyburn's right. Clyburn's right. And he said, hey, we said, hey, if you take the word legacy off and just honor his life, we'll do it. They didn't want to take it off. They want to honor all the shit that Charlie Kirk said. Remember, guys, we're talking about a 31-year-old first semester college dropout. Talking about lawyers and saying that they don't have brain processing power. This is crazy. The fact that this even has to have a conversation, that's how bold it is. That's how great it is to be a white American with the right type of politics for a certain group. Because nowhere else would that be considered. I mean, how many, you know, I guess it's just a Christian thing. I guess that's it, part of it. That plus whiteness just gives you the superpowers. But to the large degree, man, and this segment proves it, conservatives just don't want to admit, a lot of conservatives just cannot admit that DEI served a purpose beyond what they're painting. I get it. Democrats will misuse and abuse anything. I understand that. I agree with that. I call that out. I don't even like the fact that DEI gets like labeled like it helps black people the most when it helps white women the most, like anything else. And that was intentional. White women did not want to see black people get ahead like that. So they're like, hey, we need to put us in here. Back when civil rights, back when we were fighting for our civil rights, they're like, hey, we gotta add white women in as a class that's being discriminated against, so they can get affirmative action, even though they're white. Even though they were white, they were still women. And they just totally removed the whole whiteness part and just made, so anyway, so they complain about DEI. Here's it. They claim DEI was just concerned about safety when he saw a black pilot. That's all he cared about. It wasn't anything to do with anything racist. It's just because, hey man, you made a decision to pick him only because he's black. And it's like, come on, man. They just don't want to admit that in America, what we have is a system where if they could, they pick all white guys all the time. You know, for a particular slot, man, how many slots do you got? Hey man, there can be hundreds of people applying for a job. And you may have, to say you got 20 slots, but you got 100 applicants. Considering America's mostly white, and I don't know, in particular, pertaining to the field or whatever that is, it could be mostly white men applying. If you don't have any intentionality at all of diversifying, you could pick all white guys and get all qualified white guys. Everybody who applied could be qualified. But if you don't have some intentionality and you have racial bias, you could pick all qualified white guys. DEI, affirmative action, never said pick people that weren't qualified. It's like find other people who are qualified, who are this, because they're underrepresented, because left to our own devices, you're not picking them at all. You're not picking them. That's the whole point. But see, to admit that there is really racism, to admit that people do discriminate against black people, that would make them turn into stone. They would self-combust on contact if they really had to admit that, there are employers who don't want to hire black people for whatever reason. And there's only a certain amount of jobs. It's not like you got so many jobs, you can get all the people in the world to work there. A company has a certain amount of jobs. A government agency only has a certain amount of jobs. And depending on the number of people that are applying, you got to make some decisions. And left to their own devices, too many times, those decisions would tend to be, we want a bunch of white guys. So that's where it came from. But see, we can't get honesty. We can't get realness. There's none of that allowed. They have to continue to pretend that if you want, that they would hire pilots in this case, or surgeons who don't know how to surge, pilots who don't know how to pilot, as if they want to put the whole world at risk of crashed planes and bad medicine being practiced. Like everybody coming through the room, everyone at the table, anybody in the pilot's uniform that got the accreditation, that got the flight hours, it's a pilot. They all know how to fly. And for too long in America, as we all know, it is, when they looked at color, it was negative to be black. But now we live in a reverse reality for these people. Now they're just saying, hey, you guys have to hire some black people. They so upset, they call that discriminating against white people. For 300 years, discriminated against black people with no repercussions whatsoever. We said, well, you know what? We got to stop you from being able to do that. Somehow. They don't give a damn if we ever get off the bottom, man. And whether it was nice racist guy at the table there on CNN. I don't care if you say it nice, glasses. I don't care if you say it nice. You are perpetuating and upholding white supremacy bullshit. That's what you're doing. You could put all the sugar on it you want for Clyburn. And it's amazing, and I'm pissed off that you did it, because you have done the magical, you have had the magical ability, you have done the magical deed of elevating Clyburn and reminding people that Clyburn could be a cool brother sometimes. And I guess I shouldn't be upset about that. Maybe I should embrace that. So on one hand, I'm glad that you showed that Clyburn is not as bad as I thought. Okay, that he can't stand up for that. But see, that's the problem. That brings another problem for me, man. That means when he's doing corny shit, he know what he's doing. He doesn't have an impediment. It's not that he's lost it. It's not that his mind don't work. It's not that he don't understand what he be doing. He be doing it intentionally, knowing what he's doing is wrong. So when he's throwing black people under the bus, whether it be inadvertently or whether it appears to be inadvertent, whether it appears that he's earnest and really stands on business, he doing that shit with full knowledge of what he's doing, when he's caping for these Democrats. So yeah, Clyburn, Abby Phillip, all of them, Stephen A., all these people will stand for blackness when it's safe to do so, when it benefits their party. When it ceases to benefit their party, all of a sudden they get amnesia. All of a sudden now, they don't know what they forget everything they just said. If it's negative for the Democrats, which requires them to have a backbone, which will make them have to challenge their side of the aisle, that's when they lose it. So, though it is great to see Clyburn not be Stephen from Django in every damn segment, the bottom line is it only underlines and highlights that when he is being that way, it's fully a decision he's made. Not because he lacks the ability to know what he's doing, but he knows what he's doing. He's doing that shit intentionally. And we may already know that, but it's on full display now. So as great as it is, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of other people that say, Clyburn, I agree with him today. And I'm sure the Roland Martins and the Joy Reeves, all these people will come out and they will say glowing things about him in this segment. But what it does for me is, yeah, he does that, but it also shows that when he be cooning, he be doing that shit on purpose because he know the difference. He's very much aware. He may be over 80, but he ain't crazy. He know what he's saying.
The Tim Black Show streams Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wolfpack.